What's up everybody, welcome back to another Fantasy Puck video. Today's video I'm going to be bringing you my favorite players that I think you should be adding for week 4 of fantasy hockey, as long as going through some of the schedule and my favorite streamers going into week 4. This is going to be a good video guys, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. So I'm going to start this video off a little bit different. So I'm going to be breaking down kind of what I look for in terms of streaming players and how I make my decisions and how the players in this video are being decided on. So when I look to stream players, the first thing, the most important thing is going through the schedule. I want to make sure these players have a minimum of 2 off-night games, and I'll break down in the next slide in terms of what those off-night games actually mean, and at least 3 minimum games for the fantasy week, preferably 4, but there are times when teams will play 3 games and have 3 off-night games, or 3 games and 2 off-night games. Still a little bit attractive, but for me I always want to look for 4, but 3 sometimes will pass. Now for players on free agency, there's not many of them, but there are times where you will be able to find some of those power play 1 players. If you're not able to, you're definitely going to want to look at some power play 2 guys. Power play time is honestly one of the most beneficial ways for players to rack up points, and a lot of your leagues likely count power play points as well. Now, going to number 4 here and 5, they kind of coincide. For forwards, I like to look for forwards that average about 14 or about 17 minutes time on ice. But if they are power play 1, you can kind of throw this out the door because they still are getting good power play time, maybe playing 15 minutes. Some teams like to cycle their lines quite a bit. We see that on a team like Carolina. And with defensemen, I typically want to look for defensemen that are playing over 22 minutes per night. Now, if you can't get any of these, you want to be looking at guys that just have really strong peripheral coverage. Some players, for example, Brandon Tanev, he's a forward. He plays like 10 minutes a night, but racks up 6 hits, 2 blocks, and a shot. So although he doesn't fulfill the power play 1 role, he's not playing 17 minutes per night, he's still a very good category coverage players. So when I'm streaming players, these are typically my key priorities when choosing those players. Now, week 4 has a very weird schedule, I would say. So taking a look at the schedule, and this is how I kind of want to explain the off nights, are nights where basically most of your lineup likely isn't playing, and this is where you can take advantage of some of those streamers. Now, many of you may know that, but some people that are new or new to streaming or kind of just learning it, this is pretty beneficial for you to know. So this week is extremely weird. I don't know why the NHL always tends to do this, where they stack up 1 or 2 nights and then just kind of completely disregard other nights. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, those 4 nights are going to be the off nights, where there's 2 games, 1 game, 3 games, and then 5 games. Now, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday are very busy nights. This is where the streamers likely won't be beneficial to you, because maybe they do play on those nights, but it's more than likely that the guys you're already rostering will be able to fill your lineup for that night. So Tuesday, 16 games, which is, it's so weird. 2 games to 16 games to 1. Back to 11, and then 3, and then 13 on Saturday and Sunday with 5. So we want to be prioritizing guys that can maximize your games played for the week. And these will be guys on the off nights, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So because this week is very weird and there's not a lot of teams playing on the off nights, there are 3 teams that have the best schedule for this week. They have 4 games and at least 2 games on the off nights. Now, there are some teams that do have 2 off nights, but just 3 total games. So I want to be prioritizing the teams that hit both of my key priorities in the 4 games preferred and the 2 off-night games at a minimum. So the Columbus Blue Jackets are have an interesting schedule. So their off nights are Wednesday and Sunday. So if you do stream them, there is going to be a little bit of a break between when you kind of play those players. So you got to be a little bit cognizant of that. Now, the Red Wings and the Islanders are good for late in the week stream options. The Red Wings have 2 off-night games, same with the Islanders, both on Friday and Sunday, meaning you can maybe stream some Columbus guys on Wednesday and then move on from them later in the week, contingent on how many ads you have, and look at guys from Detroit or Islanders to kind of give you those extra games played on Friday and Sunday. Now, I'm going to be jumping into some of my favorite forward and defenseman streamers for next week from these teams. So jumping right into the streamers, I try to prioritize them in terms of like how I would look to stream them based on the kind of the best available players. So starting off with Kent Johnson of the Columbus Blue Jackets, triple eligibility, just 20% rostered. He is power play one right now, playing in the top six. The minutes aren't overly crazy. I think he's sitting around 15 minutes per night, but he is one of the few power play one available players on this list, meaning there is some upside for him to get you those power play one points. Moving on, Kyle Palmieri of the New York Islanders, just right wing eligible. Very surprised to see how low he actually is right now, given his minutes have been extremely high. Go take a look at Kyle Palmieri. Over his last 7 games, he's averaging close to 20 minutes per night right now. And at just 6% rostered, it seems like a very, very good ad for another guy who will be power play one and still skating in the Islanders top 6 right now. So I definitely see a lot of upside from Palmieri. I almost think he could be a bit better than Ken Johnson right now in terms of streamers, but I like the Ken Johnson triple eligibility. But with how weird this week is, I don't think position eligibility will really matter unless your team is full of Islanders, Blue Jackets, Red Wings players, and you're just going to be filling up those empty nights for this week. Moving on, we have Emmett Finney. You got to correct me on that one. This was a really interesting player, a 7th round pick of the Detroit Red Wings. Has been very good. For right now, I think his ownership percentage is really high because he's had like a 2 or 3 game, like really strong stretch. He's contributing in the hit category, contributing in the shot category. Scored 1 or 2 empty net goals last week as well. So at just 31% roster, or at 31% rostered, he's likely not available in maybe some of those 12 to 14 team leagues. But in your shallower leagues, he's a very good stream option for this week. Moving on, we have Dmitry Voronkov of the Columbus Blue Jackets, another power play one guy. At left wing eligibility, 17% rostered. I think he's a little bit less attractive to me than Ken Johnson is from a points perspective, but Voronkov has been pretty decent this season. He has about 3 goals right now for the Columbus Blue Jackets, so I definitely see the upside in streaming him this week. Moving on, we have Marco Kasper, a guy that was a lot of people were really high on going into this season. I did shout him out as more of a deeper league type of sleeper. Has some upside this week. Center left wing eligible, just 16% rostered. He is on the second line. He's playing top 6. He doesn't have power play one opportunity, but still a decent streaming option this week to kind of help you contribute to those hits category. He's probably the most upside in terms of hits for this week. Of the players on this list right now. So I definitely like Marco Kasper this week. Lastly, Anders Lee of the New York Islanders, a guy who always seems to lead the league in individual expected goals for because he's always net front. Left wing eligible, just 14% rostered. Definitely has some upside this week as well. He used to be a very good shot volume guy. It's a little bit down this season, but there's always upside with Anders Lee this year. Moving on to some of my favorite defensemen and goalie streams for this week. Obviously, none of the power play one defensemen will be available, with Seider from the Red Wings, Werenski from the Blue Jackets, and Schaefer from the Islanders. But there still are some attractive defensemen that play pretty good minutes and contribute to the peripheral categories. Starting us off with Simon Edvinsson of the Detroit Red Wings, just 9% rostered. He's definitely more of a category type of player where he contributes to all 3 hits, shots, and blocks. I actually do own him in one of my deeper leagues, and the minutes are still very good for the Red Wings there. Ivan Provorov is the next defenseman on this list from the Columbus Blue Jackets, just 7% rostered. He's actually, I was sorting by Yahoo players that were just available in free agency. He was number 1 for minutes played, averaging just over 24 minutes per night over the last couple of weeks. So a lot of interest from Provorov this season, this week. I don't think the points will be there, but the peripheral coverage should still be strong. Moving on to the last defenseman, Damon Severson of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I always tend to forget that he's on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Very low roster. This is definitely more of a 14 to 16 plus team league type of streamer due to his very low ownership. Very good schedule for the Blue Jackets this week, and I think Severson can be a pretty solid stream. He doesn't, again, contribute at a very elite level for the peripherals or the points, but still does possess some upside. Now, we have 4 goaltenders from those teams that have under 50% ownership, meaning they may actually be available for you this week. Now, these aren't like, so Merzlikins and Talbot are both, I would say, 1B or 1A starters on their respective teams. So it's not a guarantee that they will be starting those off night games. And the same thing goes for Riddick, who's kind of a backup goaltender. But these are 4 goalies I would look to monitor this week. The way I play fantasy is, especially in those points leagues, I like to be streaming goalies more often than players, just because they're more than likely to get points. Their floor is a bit higher, where some of these forwards do have the potential to have 0 points in a night or very low scoring points. Goalies, I know, have the opportunity to get negative points, but I still like the upside from these goaltenders if the matchup is right later in the week. So jumping over to my favorite ads for this week, these are guys that are more long-term ads given their upside for the rest of the season. Starting us off, we have Connor Garland of the Vancouver Canucks, right wing eligible, 31% rostered right now. So over his last 7 days, 21:36 average time on ice. He's skating on the top line. He's on the top power play unit. Has been very productive over that time with 6 points, 3 points on the power play, and 12 shots on goal. I assume if he continues this strong production and playing these massive minutes, his ownership percentage is going to scale up well over 50% over the next couple of weeks. The only downside to Garland, he doesn't really cover many peripherals, but the point upside is always going to be there. Now, Zach Benson has returned from injury and has been playing a pretty pivotal role in that Buffalo Sabres actually pretty good offense over the last little bit. Left wing eligible, 35% rostered, which has gone up considerably since his 4-assist game, averaging 18 minutes and 29 seconds, skating in the top 6 and on the top power play unit. Has 6 points over the last 7 days, 2 points on the power play, and 11 shots on goal. Now, Jackson Blake is a guy I'm getting more and more excited about going as the season continues to progress. His shot rate is extremely high right now, top 5 in the league right now in terms of shots per 60. The minutes are starting to scale up, especially with the regression we're seeing from Andrei Svechnikov. Jackson Blake seems like a very good pivot from Svechnikov at just 12% rostered. Over his last 7 days, 16 minutes, 52 average time on ice. He has 4 points, 2 points on the power play, and 23 shots on goal, the highest on this list so far. Blake has been very, very productive, and with him skating the top 6 and power play 1, it looks like he's going to have quite a bit of upside over the next short to medium term. Lastly, Matty Beniers of the Seattle Kraken. We all kind of forgot about Beniers. I did too. Now, he hasn't really been producing from a peripheral standpoint, and the points haven't been that good, but the minutes are extremely, extremely positive to see. 20 minutes and 44 seconds average time on ice. This team in general is not really an exciting team, but Beniers is a line 1 power play 1 guy that's available at just 14% rostered right now. So in those deeper leagues, the 12, 14, 16 team leagues, I can see the upside and appeal to adding Matty Beniers. With the minutes, eventually the points will come, especially with him playing a top 6 power play 1 role. So the last list of players that I think you should be adding. So we did get some development here from the Toronto Maple Leafs that Morgan Rielly is dealing with some sort of injury and he will be out short term right now, which means Oliver Ekman-Larsson has stepped in to play that top power play role. At just 11% rostered, he's actually been pretty decent over the last 7 days, averaging under 20 minutes average time on ice, but with Rielly out, we will likely see this over 22 plus minutes. 5 points, 1 point in the power play, 8 shots on goal, 8 hits, and 9 blocks. So contributing at a pretty strong level across all categories, as well as having the opportunity now to skate on the Toronto Maple Leafs top power play unit, as well as likely the top pair. So being matched up 5-on-5 with Austin Matthews. A lot of positive signs from Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Now we do have to continue to monitor the status of Morgan Rielly, but if Rielly is out for, let's say, a week or 2 weeks, Ekman-Larsson seems like a pretty strong ad for that time period. Now, we do know that John Klingberg is also injured, and Dmitry Orlov, who is someone that I actually thought was going to be a pretty big sleeper going into this season, has moved into a top pair power play 1 role. The minutes have been crazy over the last 7 days, 22 minutes and 56 seconds, 5 points over that time, 2 power play points. At the time of recording, he actually does have another power play assist tonight, so maybe we do see that roster percentage continue to scale up as the night progresses, and maybe they have a couple more goals and Orlov has a couple of more points. Who remembers the Ilya Sorokin call when I said to buy low on him and then he had that 45 save shutout or something crazy like that? So maybe we see a similar thing with Dmitry Orlov, but hopefully you can get in before your league mates do. 10 shots on goal, 13 hits, and 1 block over the last 7 days. Another guy that has returned from injury similar to Zach Benson is Cam York of the Philadelphia Flyers. At just 1% rostered, he's much more of a deeper league type of guy. It looks like Philly's running out like a power play 1A and power play 1B right now. It's kind of weird to see. And Cam York just the other night led the team in power play average time on ice. He's skating 23 minutes and 30 seconds right now. I was kind of following what was going on with Cam York in preseason, and Rick Tocchet was talking very, very highly of him. Apparently, he had a very strong camp, so it's interesting to note about that. He did have a 3-assist game, 2 points in the power play. I actually laughed at this, and I almost didn't want to put this in the slide here, but 0 shots, 0 hits, and just 4 blocks over the first 3 games. I assume that shot volume will eventually come back up. He wasn't really a known hitter, but the blocks have been there in the past for Cam York. That will do it for the Week 4 must-add players video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.